introduce us to yourself.
Oh, I'm Rodney Watson. I financial broker, entrepreneur, mentor, trainer, all that little random stuff.
Well, you said a trainer, financial trainer.
Mhm. Well, I train other people how to do what I do.
I don't know why I thought like sports trainer. Do you do that?
Well, I used to be an athlete too. Well, I'm still an athlete, but I used to play sports. I played football, basketball, ran track, stuff like that.
Did you really?
Hmm.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. That's so cool. Okay, cool, cool, cool. So, tell us what you do for a living.
So I'll put it this way. When it comes to finances, most people either have their money in the wrong place, don't invest it at all, not getting a good interest rate, maybe have too much risk, not enough profit, paying too many fees, whatever the case might be. People might not have the right insurances, if any at all. And long story short, people are making a lot of financial mistakes or just being taken advantage of. And what I do is I come in and evaluate and see if something can be done better or if there's something wrong that they don't know about. It's kind of like I'm sure you understand like cancer doesn't just come out of nowhere. It usually grows over years and then finally something happens. And then somebody passes away and they're just like, oh, I didn't know. Well, that happens financially too. People have financial cancer and they don't find out oftentimes until it's too late to fix it. And so my job is to evaluate the same way a doctor would and make sure that, there's nothing wrong with that. Make sure that see if there's something that could be done better.
What's some of the common mistakes that you see people making with their money?
Ooh,
Is it that many?
no, it's a lot. I'm trying to pick out the best ones.
Oh my gosh, it's that
uh,
many.
yeah, one I would definitely say that is really common is spending, or I should say saving after they've spent for paying bills and having fun. And then what ends up being left over is nothing. It's kind of like I'm gonna pay my bills, I'm gonna go have fun, do what I want to do, and I'll save what's left. It ends up being nothing. So you just end up never saving anything. Um, Another thing is, oh, this is very common and it's really bad. Um, Asking people who are just as ignorant as you when it comes to finances for advice. I can't tell you how many times I've had, like I've given people my professional guidance, and then they go to their uneducated, and I'm not saying that as an insult, but our ignorant or uneducated family member, spouse, friend, and say, "Hey, what should I do?" And they take that advice, and I'm like, they have no training or understanding of this stuff, and you're taking their advice. It's like that's the worst thing. And so, yeah, that's one of them. Uh, I would also say not checking, like being closed-minded. Um, Everybody thinks they're right, and everybody thinks, oh, they did a good job in setting their stuff up, and they don't need to check behind it. And they'll be so prideful that they won't allow somebody to come behind them and say, hey, can there be something done better, or did you make a mistake? Like people are so um funny about their finances, like they're embarrassed to say that they made a mistake or that they did something wrong, and that's also preventing them from being able to make the right choices or get on the right track. So hopefully that answers the question. But
No,
yeah.
that definitely answers the question. It's also exposing a lot of my problems. So thank
Mhm.
you. Okay, so you went to University of Alabama,
University of South Alabama.
South Alabama. What did you
Mhm.
study?
Finance and economics.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
What made you want to get into this in the first place, doing this?
Well, I'll tell you how I got into finance first, and then I'll tell you how I got into my career. First, I remember when I was younger, my dad had family friends and family members that I just remember watching their progression. I remember the house they had when I was 5, and I remember the house they had when I was 10. And I remember one particular person that had a new house seemed like every other year. And then it was other people I was just like, we'd be over their house during the summer. And I remember thinking, how come you're home? Why aren't you at work? Like my dad's at work. Why aren't you at work? And what I ended up realizing later on was these people were business owners. These
Mm-hmm.
people were they were self-employed or something like that. None of them had a job per se. And I remember when I was picking my major for college, I picked like biology, I pre-dentistry. I did a whole bunch of stuff in science, and then I found out I didn't like science as much as I thought I did. But I also realized that every major I was picking was something that had a very high salary or high pay.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked myself, why am I picking that? What am I doing that for? And what I realized is the reason why I kept on picking those types of majors was because I wanted to make a lot of money so that I could be a business owner. I wanted
Yeah.
to make a lot of money so I could flip money in the stock market and flip houses and stuff. And I just wanted to work for myself because of the folks that I saw that inspired me earlier in my life. And then finally one day it dawned on me, I'm like, why not just pick finance as my major? I'm like, I can major in money and I can still get a pretty good job paying, a good paying job. And so I did it that way. And what ended up leading me into my career I have now, the further I got in finance, the fewer black people there were.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it turned into being me by myself. And a lot of people told me that was one of the hardest majors. I didn't care about that. Um, but some of the most difficult classes I've ever taken were in finance. Oh my goodness. But I made it through, obviously. And I started thinking while I was doing this, I mean, I got to find a way to make a living teaching people this stuff because
Mm-hmm.
I had realized I knew stuff my dad didn't know. Matter of fact, nobody in my family knew any of the stuff I learned just with my degree. And when I say just with my degree, I'm saying that because what I learned from my degree taught me a whole lot. It expanded my mind. It made me realize how much I didn't know, and it made me open to the opportunity that I ended up taking. But when I actually started working in the industry, I realized how little my degree actually taught me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I would say 80% of my knowledge of business and finance came from actually working in the industry, and the other 20 came from my degree, right? So it's just like if a guy that went to school for finance came out and found out he didn't know crap, what is it with people that didn't get any of that training or education, but they're arrogant enough to say, I don't need help, or I already know, or I don't need to know? You see what I'm getting at? Like that kind of goes
Yeah.
back to some of the mistakes that people are making. So when it comes to finances, it's just thinking you already know. You don't want nobody to see it. Don't want nobody to check behind you. Pride gets in the way. Poor spending habits, that type of stuff.
Mm. Is money the root of all evil?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Um, when people talk about that Bible verse, it's the love of money is the root of all evil. There's another Bible verse that actually talks about, and I can't remember where it is, but the Bible verse says something like, "Money solves everything." So it's the way you look at money is the issue, because when it comes down to it, the people who are insecure with themselves, the people who are prideful, the people who are trying to keep up with the Joneses or have bad intentions with money, money is evil for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But it's
Yeah.
not the money that's evil, it's their intentions. Because good people do good things with money and bad people do bad things with money. If you think
Okay.
about this, if you got a person that loves to help people and they're trying to change the world for the better and they got $1 million, what are they probably going to do with it? Probably give some of it away. They're probably going to
Yeah.
they're going to use that money to better other people's situation. You get somebody that's bad with money, what are they going to do?
Blow
Probably
it.
something bad.
Yeah.
It's just, and here's the thing, money doesn't change people, it brings out who you really are. All right.
Yeah.
Because once you have a certain amount of money, you now have the power to be yourself, right? To actually do what you've always had in your head. So they didn't change. They're just doing what they always wanted to do, and now they have the means to do so.
How old are you?
32.
You're so wise for someone so young.
Well, I appreciate that.
But I'm sure you get that all the time because your Facebook your Facebook statuses are so like thought provoking, and that
Mhm.
you question everything. And one thing you recently said was some oh, and I really agreed with this one. You said some people shouldn't get praised for doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Oh,
What made you post that?
I actually said um, that people say people shouldn't get praised for doing what they're supposed to do. What I actually said was there's nothing wrong with giving some praise for it. And what I was
Mm,
getting at, yeah, what I was getting at with that is people most people really don't do what they're supposed to be to do, to be
no.
honest. You know, so it's just like uh when you teach somebody or when you praise somebody for doing something that they were supposed to do, the chances of you getting a repeat behavior is more likely. When you don't praise, you know, it's not necessarily telling them not to not to do it anymore, but it's kind of like it doesn't matter necessarily. And so it's just like just because people are people and they will do what they feel like they'll be praised for, praising people for doing what they're supposed to do kind of makes people more likely to do it. Like just using myself for example, with my agents. There's certain they don't have quotas or anything, but I've taught them how to make money, and when they go out and do business for themselves or whatever, even though I'm like I could be like, well, that's what you're supposed to do. Is that going to encourage them to continue?
No.
Exactly my point. So why not? You know, I'm not so egotistical or prideful that I can't still give a person a pat on the back for doing what they were supposed to do anyway,
Mm,
right? And I in that post I used praising good fathers as an example.
mm-hmm.
Of course, we could say, yeah, you're supposed to take care of your kids. You're supposed to provide, protect, and provide. You're supposed to do all that. I'm not praising you for doing what you're supposed to do. Well, how many fathers don't do that? You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
How many people out there, like women complain about that stuff all the time, you know? So I'm just like, you over here saying something wrong for praising them for doing what they're supposed to do. Well, what happens if you got somebody who doesn't do any of those things? So I'm just like, nothing wrong with giving somebody credit for being what they are supposed to be, especially if it's positive. You know, it's just more encouragement to do the right thing is the way I look at it. Hopefully that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. Love and Dead just posted, most people don't feel worthy, so they don't know how to hang on to money. They just blow it. I definitely agree with that, Deb. Hi, by the way.
They don't
Love
feel
and Deb,
worthy of having the
she's,
money.
huh?
They don't feel worthy of having the money.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, something's
You
going on in
know,
your brain right now. What's going on in your
that
head?
kind of goes to that self-esteem thing I talked about.
Mm,
You know,
mm-hmm.
I would tell you this: the self-esteem in the black community is definitely a huge reason why we don't have any of it, or why we don't keep much of it. We spend
Mm,
$1 trillion a year, yet we have the lowest net worth out of every ethnicity.
mm-hmm.
And I can't really say I can speak on the part where she said they don't feel worthy of the money. I feel like, hey, if you earned it, you earned it. You deserve the money if you earned it. Right now, if you're stealing it, then you're right. You're not worthy of it. So that's a different story. But if you worked for it, you earned it. That's your money. You earned it. Okay. Now, when I was talking about the self esteem messing up our money, guys, when it comes to how we spend, us getting these expensive cars, us getting these big houses that we can't afford. Why are we doing that? To impress people that we probably don't even really care about. I mean, that don't even really care nothing about us, right? It's an ego thing. It's over here trying to use materialism to increase our value instead of growing ourselves internally. If that makes sense.
No, it does.
Yeah.
It makes so much
So
sense.
you know that throwing money away on stuff like that is a self esteem problem. Like, and to use myself for example, um, if you since you have been following me for a while, I'm sure you can tell I'm like super confident in myself. I'm not insecure at all. I'm very um you know I'm confident but not arrogant. I'll say that you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I have made around 150 so far this year,
Mm-hmm.
150,000 so far this year. I have a Grand Marquis, a 2003 Mercury Grand Marquis. I could have bought 10 of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Why? If I was one of those folks that was trying to keep up with the Joneses or impress people with my money, I would have went and bought this really extravagant car.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not out here to try to impress me. I really don't care. I care more about having my stability, taking care of my family, and actually becoming wealthy than I care about if you think I got money or not. I don't
Mm.
care. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Most folks would rather look like they got money than actually have the money. I'd rather actually have the money than look like I got the money.
That's I'm so happy that we're doing this right now. Okay, okay. What was the best gift that you've received for Christmas?
Best gift.
Yes.
Hmm. I barely remember. You know, what's funny is my birthday is Christmas Eve.
No, it's not.
It is.
So you got two presents.
No, I did not.
No, you didn't.
For most of those, I didn't. No. But Christmas gifts, and you know, this is a little, it's same subject but off subject. I was literally, what is today? Two nights ago, I held a conversation with one of my friends that I don't even like Christmas anymore. And yeah, I know, and I'll explain why. Yeah, you're like, how is that possible? I love,
Yeah.
yeah, I love the fact that it brings people together, and I
Yeah.
get to see my family and stuff like that. And then it's my birthday, so we usually have a get together on the 24th. And I just like the camaraderie about it. But what I've come to really dislike about it is me working in my line of work. Um, I see how people spend their money, and I do my own little research about random stuff. January is the month that has the most evictions. It's also December and January is one of the months where the number of loans debt goes up the most because people are taking out loans to buy presents. People are missing payments for their house or their apartment to pay for presents. Their society has brainwashed us into almost feeling like you're not being a good parent or friend or whatever if you don't buy gifts for people during this time. And so people will literally go broke for it. And then I did the math before and I looked up average spending on just Christmas itself, and I looked at if they invested half of that from like 20 to 60, they'd retire a millionaire. Yeah, but we're out here broke for it, saying we don't have money to invest. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, it's when I really look at the choices that people are making and where it's coming from, I'm just like, Christmas is really, and it's not just Christmas, it's all holidays.
All
All
holidays.
this,
Yeah.
yeah, all these things were created to get us to spend money. That's all it is. And I've watched people choose Christmas and give and paying for Christmas presents over getting a life insurance policy that will create generational wealth for that child, but you'll buy presents for them when the life insurance was less expensive. I've
Yeah.
seen people do that same thing instead of setting up a college fund for that child so they don't have student loan debt like they got. And I know part of it is ignorance, but it's also society has taught us to do that. So it's just like that's why I've kind of stopped liking Christmas so much. I like it, but I don't like it. And it's just like I can't help but think about it knowing what I know.
That's a brilliant observation. Okay, so where can we do you want to do your plugs for your platform or no?
Oh yeah, I mean
Okay.
my Facebook is Rodney Watson II. Literally, I'm the only one apparently in the country with the Roman numeral 2 after Rodney Watson. I'll be the first one to pop up, the only one to pop up. And then my Instagram is like, I think it was Rodney underscore real deal Watson, something like that.
Something
But
like that.
yeah, it's something like that.
Okay, so last final question. Do you need to have a competitive spirit in order to be successful?
It helps. I'm not gonna
Why?
say I'm not gonna say you have to have it. It depends on what you're doing. Um, but it does help. And the reason for it, using myself for example, in my state, I've been number one in the state so many times. I mean, I could count it if I had to, but I've been number one in the state a lot of times, and me being number one in the state is something I just wanted to be the best, you know, and me being competitive like that, in order for me to be the best, I had to get educated. You know, I had to really study and research and practice, and like you know, I'm willing to brag and say I'm really good at what I do. I'm a
Yeah.
beast with investments. I'm a beast with insurance. I'm the truth at this. And I got that way because I was competitive, not just with other people, but with myself. To say I'm trying to make sure I'm better than I was before, and I'm always constantly improving and progressing in some form or fashion. Um, and like I said, me wanting to be number one was a catalyst to my desire to work like I do and get educated. Kind of like, you know, when I was playing sports, I remember people used to be like, "Man, I'm so strong and fast because I like working out," and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"No, it's because I like winning." You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say I don't like studying and researching because I do like to learn, you know what I'm saying? But the real catalyst behind it is I'm competing with my previous self, and I'm trying to make sure I'm the best that I can be compared to my competition. You know, me making the money I've made is really a reflection of the value of that I'm bringing to people, how many people I'm helping, how good of a mentor and trainer I am. You know what I'm saying? So if I didn't care about being good, and if I didn't have that competitive nature, could I have still had success? Yes. Would it have come as quickly or as high? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I
And
definitely
I
appreciate.
still I have time if you want to keep going. I don't have anything till for another like hour and a half, 2 hours. So
Oh, well, it'll time us out by then.
okay.
Who's your favorite billionaire?
Hmm. I don't know if I have one. I'd say Art Williams is one. Is Grant Cardone a billionaire? I don't know if he's a billionaire.
He
I
acts
like
like
Grant
it.
Cardone. Yeah, yeah, I know, right? But I like him. Um, who? Oh, Jay Z. Jay Z's definitely one on. Uh, I know P Diddy was a billionaire at some point. I don't know if he still is. And I kind of like Jeff Bezos too. Oh, there's an Asian guy, a dude, the richest guy in China. I like him, and the reason why I like him is because he's not um hiding his failures and where he was beforehand. Like if you guys go on YouTube and just type in "richest man in China," he'll pop up. I forgot his name, but he'll pop up.
I forgot his name too, but I've seen that video.
Yeah, he has
Extremely humble.
right. He has a video that talks about the difference between poor people and rich people, and I love the quote. I can't quote it, but I love it. But what he's talking about in it, the gist of it is basically saying how poor people are poor off of their own thought process and mindset. There's nothing really holding them back. And he talked about when you offer them opportunities, chances to learn, give them help, whatever, they'll come up with any excuse they can come up with for the reasons why they can't do something. And that's why they stay poor. And I'm like, I 100% agree with that, especially, again, to use myself, for example, the further along I've got in success, education, you know, my knowledge and skills, all that type of stuff, the more I've realized that everybody who's broke is there by choice. And
Yeah.
I'm saying that about myself because I've been broke, you know, and I was broke because of my choices, the opportunities I didn't take, staying in my comfort zone. That's another thing. People want to act like the world is the reason why they're in that condition. Your comfort zone is probably the reason why you're in where you are. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm just like staying in your comfort zone, passing up opportunities, whether it is to learn, to grow, avoiding challenges, just all that type of little stuff, you know. So I'm just like, hey, everybody is where they are by their own choices. No matter what your circumstances was, you know, you got dealt a hand. It's your job to play it as good as you could. And there's a quote by I just saw a video earlier. I can't remember the guy's name, but he has one arm virtually, and on that one arm he has one finger, and he has no legs. This dude said the worst, the only disability you have is a bad mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that on the Tom Bilyeu Impact Theory video?
That I'm not sure. I can't remember his name, but I follow Goldcast and Goldcast and
Oh,
they
I
had
love Goldcast.
yeah, that it was one of those videos I saw.
Um, so sports fan?
I am.
Who are
Haven't
your
been watching
teams?
the whole lot lately, but yeah, I've been a Philadelphia fan since like '03.
I thought I liked you. I and then there's that one little thing.
And so what, you a Cowboys fan or something?
No, the
Okay.
Buccaneers, of course, who just
Oh
won
no,
today.
I like the Buccaneers, but it's just like I gotta say Eagles just because that's the first one, and I've never stopped liking them. But I do like other teams. Like I like the Buccaneers primarily because they have some of the players I like, and I like their uniform. So I'm a fan of passing teams with good defense,
Mm-hmm.
and I like teams that can run too. But I like teams that got like a that throw it not a lot. Like I kind of like the Saints because of that. But I'm a fan of defense. So
Yeah.
if the team doesn't have any defense, I'm not gonna like them as much. Which I just stick with my Eagles just because I'm a loyal person. So not gonna throw them to the side just because they ain't winning right now.
Right. Yeah. Right. If you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing
In a career,
as a career? Yes.
hmm. In some form or fashion, I'd like to stay mentoring and teaching. Uh,
Really? So,
yeah,
which
like
is still it's still in the field what you're in though.
right. I mean, so and what inspired me to say that was somebody asked me like a week ago, uh, would you do what you do now forever? And I
Yeah.
was like, the mentoring and teaching, yes. The actually going out and setting up the investments for people and all that stuff, no.
Yeah.
And because some people have told me, they're like, man, you good at what you do because you're passionate about it. And I'm like, you can say that, but I'm just like, I'm one of those firm believers that discipline has more to do with success than passion does. And it contradicts what a lot of people say. And just to explain what I mean by that, if you are passionate about something and you lack discipline, you're not going to win. It's not going to work. If you are disciplined but not passionate, you can still win. So I'm just like, discipline is more important than passion. Does passion make it easier for you to be able to do it? Yes, it does,
Yeah.
because you're emotionally attached to it. It makes it easier, but is it more important than having discipline? No, people are trying to use passion as the alternative for discipline. And I'm just like, that passion alone ain't gonna get it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But if you're disciplined, even if you're not necessarily passionate about it, you can still succeed. Will it be a little more mentally and emotionally straining? Yeah, because it's something you're not necessarily enjoying it, but you can still win. And I know this to be true because I grew up doing a whole bunch of stuff I didn't necessarily like because of how I was raised. My father forced me to do stuff. And some people might resent that stuff, but I just realized that him raising me that way is the reason why I've had so much success in almost everything I've done. I didn't have to like anything in order to do it. It just kind of has been ingrained in me to just do what I'm supposed to do, as opposed to doing it because it feels good or whatever. You know what I mean? But why did I even mention that? I
No,
mentioned
you're fine. No,
that.
I want to kind of rebuttal you and say that
Hmm.
maybe you're doing this unconsciously. You're not even aware of that you're doing this,
Yeah.
but the particularly I'm speaking particularly about the Black community.
Hmm.
Our job, using that word loosely, is to leave a legacy,
Right.
you know, and to leave the world a little bit of a better place than when we were here.
Hmm.
And you're doing that. You're talking the talk actively every
Yeah.
day, reaching
Hmm.
out, helping people, making sure people question things. And
Right.
that's what we should be doing. And I think
I
it's beautiful
100%
what you
agree.
do.
Yeah. I feel like if everybody I mean, bro, just half the black community, and they don't even have to be black, because I mean, it don't matter who they are. If people in general made the decision to say, I'm going to try to make the world better in some form or fashion, that could just be by being nice to people. You know,
Yeah.
just spread positivity as opposed to negativity. They just make that conscious effort. There's so many things that's wrong with this world that wouldn't be going on as much, if at all. So I'm just like, the way I kind of look at it, which I don't consider myself an overly religious person, but I genuinely, with all my heart, believe in God, and I feel like um, I've been taught service to people is service to God. So it's like, if you are not in some form or fashion trying to help people, you're not doing what God wants you to do. That's just how,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying.
This was such a treat. I definitely appreciate you taking the time out to talk with me.
Mm.
Thank you. I
You're
just,
welcome. Thanks for having me.
thank you. Yeah. I'll talk to you later, okay?
Okay, go ahead. All right.